Okay. He and Ganilla fell in love. I guess I kind of got that impression when she was taking me on a tour of the hotel. Sam nodded. The son of Loki betrayed her. Turned out he was a spy for my dad. Broke her heart. Well, you get the picture. Anyway, I'm not going to leave her to die. I sighed. Okay, I pulled off my pendant. Jack the Sword hummed to life. About time, he said. What did I miss yesterday? Bunch of climbing, I told him. Now we're looking at two more giantesses. How do you feel about flying up their nostrils? The sword tugged at my hand. His blade peeked around the corner of the curtain. Dude, we're on their windowsill. We've technically crossed the threshold of the giant's home. So So you have to follow the rules. Killing them in their home without provo- provocation would be rude. Right, I said. We wouldn't want to kill them rudely. Hey, Senor, guest right guest rights and host rights are important magic protocols. They keep situations from escalating. Blitzen groaned in the corner. The sword has a point, kid. And no, that wasn't a joke. We should go in, claim guest rights, and barter for what we need. If the giant tries to kill us, then we can attack. Hearthstone hiccuped, grinned, and signed. Washing machine. Sam shook her head. You two are in no condition to go anywhere. Let's stay here and watch Hearthstone. Magnus and I will go in. Find Thor's hammer and free Ganilla. If things go wrong, it'll be up to you two to figure out how to rescue us. But Blitzen put his feet, put his fist over his Blitzen put his fist over his mouth and stifled an or yeah, okay. How are you guys going to get down there? Sam peered over the ledge. We'll use the magic rope to reach the floor. Then we'll walk up to the giants and introduce ourselves. I hate this plan, I said. Let's do it. Mary won't be joining tonight, by the way. Gone.
Yeah, I heard you. Sorry, I was muted. That's all right though. So yeah, one thing that's worth noting for those who missed the last story fellowship is they saw within the window of the giant's fortress, this imposing fortress, that there was a cage with a swan in it, and they instantly recognized that to be the shape changed form of Ganilla, or at least Samara did. So yeah, let's see what happens at the creepy fortress of the giant.
54.
I'll cue up the creepy fortress picture.
Why you should not use a steak knife as a diving board. Rappelling down the wall was the easy part. When we reached the bottom, I started having serious doubts. The giantesses were definitely smaller than their dead sister, maybe 50 feet tall. If I had been asked to wrestle one of bless you. I'd been asked to wrestle one of their big toes, I could have won no problem. Other than that, I didn't like my chances. I feel like Jack up the beanstalk, I muttered. Sam laughed.
What's
Sam
up, bud?
laughed. Huh?
Sorry, there was a big pause there. I was like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah, Travis is messaging me.
Oh, okay.
He wants to get on. I feel like Jack up in Bainstock. I muttered. Sam laughed under her breath. Where do you think that story comes from? It's a cultural memory, a watered down account of what happens when humans blunder into Jotunheim. Super. Jotunheim. Super. The sword buzzed in my hand. Besides, you can't be Jack. I'm Jack. I couldn't argue with that logic. We navigated across the stone floor through a wasteland of dust bunnies, food scraps, and grease puddles. The fireplace was so hot my clothes steamed, my hair crackled. The smell of the giant's body's odor, a combination of wet clay and sour meat, was almost as deadly as a sword flying up my nose. We got within shouting distance of the dining table. The two giantesses still hadn't noticed us. They both got sandals. They both wore sandals, size 120 leather dresses and Flintstone style necklaces made from polished boulders. Their stingy black hair was woven into pigtails. Their gray faces were hideously painted with rouge and lipstick. I didn't have my fashion advisor Blitzen with me, but I guess the giant sisters were dolled up for a girls' night out, even though it was barely lunchtime. Ready? Sam asked me. The answer was no, but I took a deep breath and yelled, "Hello!" The giantesses kept chatting, banging their cups and chomping their meat. I tried again. Yo! The big ladies froze. They scanned the room. Finally, the one on the left spotted us. She burst out laughing, spraying bits of meat and meat. More humans. I don't believe it. The other giantess leaned over. Is that another Valkyrie? And she sniffed the air. The boy is an Harji. Perfect. I was wondering what we'd have for dessert. Reclaim guest rights, I yelled. The giantesses on the left made a sour face. Now, why did you have to go and do that? We want to barter. I pointed to the birdcage. Now so far above us, I could only see its rustled base hovering like a moon. For that swan's freedom, and also possibly, if you have any stolen weapons lying around, like I don't know, a hammer or something. Smooth, Sam muttered. The giantesses looked at each other like they were trying not to giggle. Did you just sneeze, Emily? Bless you.
And Travis and Heather, welcome to the call. Welcome to
Hello.
Story Fellowship.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh.
We are currently entering and venturing into the giant's scary fortress.
Bless
And
you.
inside are two giantesses who are just like chatting and gobbling down meat and drinking. And there's a caged bird that's really a Valkyrie that's in shapeshifted form as a swan. And they're trying to save her and potentially find Thor's hammer, because earlier Thor asked them to go to this fortress in order to find his hammer because he's lost it. I know.
Wow.
All right, go ahead, Dennis.
Smooth, Sam muttered. The giantesses looked at each other like they were trying not to giggle. They'd obviously been hitting the meat pretty hard. Very well, said the giantess on the left. I am Gajal. This is my sister Gripe. We agree to host you while we barter. What are your names? I am Magnus, son of Natalie. I said, and this is Samara, daughter of Aisha, said Sam. You are welcome in the house of our father, Gerard and Gajal, but I can barely hear you down here. Do you mind if I put you in a chair? Okay, I said. The other sister,
Just a minute, Dennis. Heather, could you maybe mute yourself? Because there's a lot of background noise coming from the room you're in, I think. Thanks, hon. All right, go ahead, Dennis.
snatched us up like toys. She set us up. She set us on the empty chair. Its seat the size of a living room. Its seat the size of a living room. The laptop was still a good 5 feet above my head. Oh dear, Durite said. That's still too low. May I raise your chair for you? Sam started to say, Magnus. I blurted out, sure. With a shriek of glee, Grip picked up our chair and thrust it over their head. If not for the backlash, Sam and I would have been smashed flat against the ceiling. As it was, we got knocked off our feet and showered in plaster. Grut put down the chair. It took a moment for my eyeballs to stop rattling. Then I saw the giantess's scowling faces looming over us. It didn't work, Gripe said, with obvious disappointment. Of course it didn't work, Gajal growled. You never do that trick right. I told you it has to be something without a back, like a stool, and we should have installed those spikes in the ceiling. You were trying to kill us, I said. That can't be in the rules for good hosts. Kill you? Gajal looked offended. That's an absolutely baseless accusation. My sister only did that as you requested. She asked your permission to raise the chair. You just said it was a trick. Did I? Gajal blinked up, closed her heavily mascared lashes, looked like the obstacle course of a mud run for a mud run. Pretty sure I didn't. I looked at the sword of Fenrir, which was still in my hand. Check. Have they broken the host rules yet? Because trying to kill us seems kind of borderline. Not unless they admit their intent, Jack said. And they're saying it was an accident. The giantess is both straightened. A talking sword, Gajal said. Well now, that's interesting. You sure I can't raise your chair for you again? Gajip offered. I could run to the kitchen and get a stool. It's no trouble. Honored host, Sam. Host, Sam said, her voice shaky. Please put us gently and safely on top of your table so we can barter with you. Garip muttered unhappily, but she did as Sam asked. The giantess just deposited us next to her fork and knife, which were roughly the same size as me. Her mugs would have made a fine water tower for a rural town. I just hoped it wasn't named Boom Daddy. So Gura flopped back in her chair. You want freedom for the swan. You'll have to wait until our father gets home to negotiate terms. She is his prisoner, not ours. She's a Valkyrie, of course, Gajop added. Flew in our window last night. He refuses to show her true form. Thinks she can fool us by staying in that silly swan costume. But Dad is too clever for her. Bummer. I said. Well, we tried. Magnus, Sam chided. Gracious host, gracious host, will you have will you at least consent not to kill the swan until we've had a chance to speak with Gerard? Good job, shrugged. Like I said, her fate is up to Dad. He might let her go if you surrendered yourselves in exchange. But I don't know. We need something spicy for the stew tonight. Let's put a pin in that, I said, which is only in expressions, Sam added hastily, but no means is my friend granting you permission to put a pin in anything, especially us. Nice to save. Nice save, I told her. Sam gave me a you're such an idiot look. I was getting used to that. Gajal crossed her arms, forming a new against mess against her chest. You said you also wanted to barter for a stolen weapon. Yeah, I said, something Thunder got it. If you have it, not that any particular Thunder God is missing any particular weapon. Grip crackled. Oh, we have something like that. Something that belongs to Thor himself. Since Thor wasn't there to creatively cuss, Sam did the honors, muttering a few comments that I doubted her grandparents would approve of. Those are just expressions, I added hastily. In no way was my friend giving you permission to do any of those rude and colorful things. Will you barter with us for the H for the weapon you spoke of? Of course, Gajal grinned. In fact, I'd like to wrap up these negotiations quickly since my sister and I have an appointment with the Hot Frost giant twins, Juret said. So we'll make you a fair deal, Gajal continued. We'll give you Thor's weapon for that lovely talking sword, and we'll release the swan. I'm pretty sure Dad will be okay with that, as long as you give yourselves in exchange. You won't get a better deal than that. That's hardly a deal, Sam growled. Then you can refuse, Garrett said, and leave in peace. It's all the same to us. Jack thumbed indigently, his runes glowing. Magnus, you'd never give me up, right? We're friends. You're not like your dad. Gonna toss me aside as soon as you see something you like better. I thought about Loki's suggestion, and I gave the sword to my uncle Randolph at the time. I'd actually been tempted. Now the idea seemed impossible, and only partly because the giantess wanted to put us in a cage and have us for dinner. Jack had saved our lives at least twice now. I liked him, even if he did occasionally call me Senor. An alternative came to me. A bad idea, yes, but better. Bad idea, yes, but better than the giant's offer. Jack, I said, hypothetically speaking, if I told these giantess how we killed their sister, would that break the rules of guest etiquette? What? Good job, cried. Jack's runes sword glowed. Jack's runes glowed a more cheerful shade of red. No, etiquette problem there, my friend, because that happened before we were guests here. Okay, I smiled at the giantess. We killed your sister, big ugly lady, trying to block the river and drown Thor. Yeah, she's dead now. Lies. Gajal shot to her feet. Puny humans, you could not possibly have killed our sister. Actually, my sword flew up her nose and scrambled her brains. Gripe howled in outrage. I should have crushed you like bugs. Cursed my lack of stool and strategically placed stealing spikes. I'll admit, having two giantesses tower over me bellowing death threats was a wee bit unnerving, but Sam kept her cool. She pointed her axe accusingly at Garai. So you were trying to kill us just now. Of course, you dolt, which violates the rules of post. Who cares? Garai cried. Magnus's sword does Sam said Jack, did you hear that?
Yeah, I
Yep.
hear that.
I
I
heard
did.
that too.
Sorry, dog. I sure did. I'd like to point out, though, that the effort required to kill these two giantesses might be too much. Do it. I hurled the sword. Jack spiraled upward straight into Gripe's right nostril, and out her laugh. The giantess collapsed, shaking the room at 6.8 on the Richter scale. The Jelps stifled a scream. She covered her nose and mouth and stumbled around as Jack tried to vain to stab his way through her fingers. Oh, this one is getting smart, Jack yelled. A little help over here? Magnus Sam pushed the giantess's steak knife to the edge of the table until the blade extended like a diving board. I got what she wanted me to do. It was stupid crazy, but I didn't give myself time to reflect. I ran full tilt at the knife and jumped toward the end of the blade. Sam yelled, wait. But then I was already in midair. I landed on the knife, which catapulted upward. As I dropped to the plan worked, sort of. I landed on the empty seat of out of the trash. Daisy. Upstairs. Daisy. But was enough to break plan work, sort of. I landed on the empty seat of the chair, which was not far enough down to kill me, but was enough to break my leg. Hooray. The pain drove a hot nail up the base of my spine. The job got it worse. The spinning steak knife hit her in the chest. It didn't impale her. It didn't even go through her dress, but the poke was enough to make her yell. She lowered her hands, grabbing instinctively for her chest, which allowed Jack full access to her nose. It's like the Jap was lying dead on the floor next to her sister. Magnus Sam lowered herself off the blade and dropped next to me on the chair. You fool, I wanted you to help me throw a salt shaker on the blade. I didn't expect you to jump on it yourself. You're welcome, I grimaced. Also, ow. Is it broken? Yeah, don't worry. I'm a fast healer. Give me an hour. I don't think we have, Sam started to say. From the next room, a deep voice boomed, Girls, I'm home.
Oh no.
I'm carried into battle by the 1st Dwarven Airborne Division. 55. 55, I'm carried into battle by the 1st Dwarven Airborne Division.
Nice.
There's never a great time for Daddy Giant to come home. But when you're sitting in his dining room with your leg broken, the corpses of 2 of his daughters sprawled nearby, That's an especially bad time. Sam and I stared at each other as the giant's footsteps echoed louder and louder in the next chamber. Sam's expression said, I got nothing. I also had nothing, which is exactly the sort of moment when you might welcome a dwarf, an elf, and a swan parachuting onto your chair. Blitzen and Hearth was lashed side by side in the harnesses with Ganilla, the waterfowl, cradled in Hearthstone's arms. Blitzen pulled the steering toggles and executed a perfect landing. Behind him pulled the parachute, a swath of turquoise silk that exactly matched Blitzen's suit. That was the only fact about his entrance that did not surprise me. How? I asked. Blitzen scoffed. Why do you look so amazed? You distracted those giantesses long enough. I'd be a poor dwarf indeed if I couldn't rig a grappling hook, shoot a line from the window to the birdcage, shimmy free the swan, and use an emergency parachute to get down here. Sam pinched her nose. You've had an emergency parachute this entire time? Don't be silly, Blitzen said. Dwarves always carry emergency parachutes, don't you? We'll talk about this later, I said. Right now, girls, called the giant from the next room. His speech sounded a little slurred. Well, where are you? I snapped my fingers. Come on, guys, options. Sam, can you and Ganilla camouflage us? My hijab can only cover 2 people, Sam said. And Ganilla, the fact that she's still a swan might indicate she's too weak to change back to normal. The swan honked. I'll take that as a yes, Sam said. It could be a few hours, which we don't have. I looked at her. Runestones. No strength, he signed, though he hardly needed to tell me that. He was upright and conscious, but still looking like he'd been run over by an 8-legged horse. Jack, I yelled to the sword. Where is Jack? From the table above us, the sword yelled, Dude, what? I'm washing off in this goblet. Give a guy some privacy, huh? Magnus, Sam said. You can't ask him to kill 3 giants in a row. That much effort really will kill you. In the next room, the footsteps got louder. The giant sounded like he was stumbling. Gajop, gripe, I swear. Hiccup, I think hiccup. If you're texting those frost giant boys again, I will wring your necks. The floor I decided. Get me to the floor. Blitzen scooped me up, which almost made me black out from pain. He yelled, Hang on, and leaped from the chair, somehow managing to paraglide me down safely. By the time I regained my senses, Sam Harth and his new pet swan were standing next to us, apparently having used the chair leg as a fire pole. I shivered with nausea. My face was slick with sweat, and my broken leg felt like one enormous open blister. But we had no time for minor concerns, like my unbearable pain. Across the threshold of the dining room door, the shadows of the giant's feet got closer and darker though they did seem to be weaving back and forth. Blitzen, Carry me under that door, I said. We have to intercept Garrod. Excuse me, asked the dwarf. You're strong. You've already hold you're already holding me. Hurry. Excuse me. Asked what? That made no sense.
Ask the door? What are you talking about?
Door.
The door just
No,
asked?
it's Blitzen. No, hold on. Blitzen, carry me under that door, I said. We have to intercept Garrod. Excuse me, asked the dwarf. You're strong. You're you're already holding me. Hurry. Okay, so never mind. Did you guys get that? Did you guys understand that?
Yeah.
No.
It almost sounded like John.
No.
It almost sounded like the doors talking.
No, it's Blitzen. It's
Let's.
Magnus asking Blitzen to carry him under the door. So
Um,
here.
So Blitz is
nice.
basically saying, excuse me, you're so strong, you're already holding the door open. Is that what he's saying?
that sounds like
No, it says Blitzen. No, it's Magnus saying Blitzen, carry me under that door. I said.
And Blitzen responds, excuse me, you're strong, you're already holding the door.
Listen. We have to intercept Garrod. Excuse me, asked the dwarf. You're strong. You're already holding me. Hurry. I think it's Magnus telling the dwarf
the whole.
Grumbling, he jogged toward the door, every bounce sending a stab in my pain into the base of my skull. So yeah, it's Magnus asking Blitzen to carry him to the door.
Yeah.
Yeah. Base of my skull. The parachute slithered behind us. Sam and Hearth followed, the swan honking unhappily in Hearthstone's arms. The doorknob started to turn. We ducked under the sill, and charged out the other side, right between the giant's feet. I yelled, "Hi, how you doing?" Rud stumbled back. I guess he hadn't been expecting to see a paratrooper dwarf carrying a human, followed by another human and an elf holding a swan. I wasn't prepared for what I saw either. For one thing, the room was about half the size of the one we'd just left. But by most standards, the hall we've been considered grand. Considered grand. The black marble floor gleamed rows of stone columns were interspersed with iron braziers filled with burning coals like dozens of barbecue grills. But the ceilings were only about 25 feet tall. Even the door we'd come through was smaller on this side, though that made no sense. Squeezing back under the sill would be impossible. In fact, I didn't see how Gajal or Gripe could have fit through the doorway unless they changed size as they moved from room to room. Maybe that's what they did. Giants were shapeshifters. Magic and illusion were second nature to them. If I spent much more time here, I have to bring a large supply of motion sickness medicine, and some 3D glasses. In front of us, Garrod was still staggering around, sloshing mead from his drinking horn. "Who are you?" he slurred. "Guest," I called. "We have claimed guest rights." I doubted those applied anymore since we'd killed our hosts, but since my adequate-minded sword was still in the next room watching the nostril go off his blade. Nobody challenged me. Gerard frowned. He looked like he'd just come from a wild party at the Jotunheim Marquee, which was weird since the day was young. Giants apparently partied 24/7. He wore a rumpled mauve jacket, an untucked black dress shirt, striped slack, striped slack, and dress shoes that many patent leather animals had died to create.
Huh.
His dark hair was greased back, but springing up in unruly cowlicks. His face had a 3-day stubble. He reeked of fermented honey. The overall impression was less fashionable, nightclub dude, and more well-dressed wino. The weirdest thing about him was his size. I'm not going to say he was short. 20 feet tall is still good if you're looking for somebody to play point in the NBA or change those hard to reach light bulbs. But the guy was minuscular
Minuscule.
compared to his daughter. Yeah, minuscule.
Okay.
That's the word. Compared to his daughters, who were, of course, now dead. Gerard belched. Judging from his expression, he was making a mighty effort to form rational thoughts. If you're a guest, why have you got my swan? And where are my daughters? Sam forced a laugh. Oh, those crazy girls? We were bartering with them for your swan. Yeah, I said, right now they're on the floor in the other room. They don't look so good. I mimed drinking from a bottle, which probably confused Hearthstone, as it looked like the sign for I love you. Gerard seemed to get my meaning. His shoulders relaxed, as if the idea of his daughters passing out drunk on the floor was nothing to be concerned about. Well then, he said, as long as they weren't entertaining those frost giant boys again. Nope, just us, I assured him. Blitzen grunted as he shifted me in his arms. Heavy, Hearthstone trying to keep up with the conversation, signed, I love you at the giant. Oh, great, Gerard said. Oh, great, Gerard, Sam said. We actually came here to bargain for Thor's weapon. Your daughters told us you have it. Gerard glanced to his right. Against the far wall, almost hidden behind a column, was a human-sized iron door. And the weapon is behind that door, I guess. Gerard's eyes widened. What sorcery is this? How did you know that? We want to barter for the weapon, I repeated. In Hearthstone's arms, Ganillo honked irritably. And also for the freedom of the swan, Sam added. Ha! Gerard sloshed more mead from his drinking horn. I don't hiccup. Need anything you could offer. But perhaps you could belt earn the weapon and the golden goose. The swan, I corrected. Whatever, said the giant. Blitzen whimpered, heavy, very heavy. The pain in my leg made it hard to think. Every time Blitzen moved, I wanted to scream, but I tried to keep a clear head. What did you have in mind? I asked the giant. Entertain me. Join me in a game. Like Words with Friends? What? No, like catch. He gestured disdainfully toward the dining room. I have only daughters. They never want to play catch with me. I like playing catch. Play catch with me. I glanced at Sam. I think he wants to play catch. Bad idea, she murmured. Survive 10 minutes, Gerard said. That's all I ask. Then I'll be happy. Survive, I asked. A game of catch? Good, so you agree. He stumbled to the nearest brazier and scooped up a red hot coal the size of an easy chair. Go long. 56.
Here's a
Never,
picture of it.
huh?
Here's a picture of it.
Yeah,
That's Garage
that's
getting
cool.
drunk off his horn of liquor, and poor Percy there in the arms of Bliss. They're about to get a hot coal thrown at
Not
him.
Perseus,
Oh, nice.
Magnus, yeah.
56.
Love the illustrations.
Yeah, I try to find him online for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never ask a dwarf to go long. So 56 is never ask a dwarf to go long. Run, I told Blitzen. Run, 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 run. Blitzen, who was still trailing the parachute, only managed to stumble. Heavy, very heavy, he wheezed again. We made it about 20 feet before Gerard yelled, catch! The four of us ducked behind the nearest column as a coal cannonball slammed against it, burning a hole straight through the stone and spraying ash and sparks. Cover our heads. Oh, spraying ash and sparks over our heads. The column groaned, cracked, spread all the way up to the ceiling. Run more, Stan yelled. We stumbled across the hall as Gerard scooped the coals and threw them with appalling accuracy. If he hadn't been drunk, we would have been in serious trouble. The next salvo set Blitzen's parachute on fire. Sam was able to cut it off with her axe, but we lost valuable time. Another chunk of flaming apocalypse blasted a crater in the floor next to us, singeing Ganila's wings and Hearthstone's scarf. Sparks flew into Blitzen's eyes. I'm blind, he yelled. I'll direct you, I shouted. Left, left, your other left. Meanwhile, across the hall, Gerard was having a grand old time singing in Japanese, staggering from brazier to brazier, occasionally dousing himself in mead. Come on now, little guest. This is not how you play. You're supposed to catch the coals and throw them back. I looked around desperately for exits. There was one other door on the wall directly across from the dining room, but it was too small to crawl under and too big to force open.
Huh.
Not to mention barred with a tree trunk beam across iron brackets. For the first time since becoming an Harji, I was annoyed that my super quick healing wasn't super quick enough. If we were going to die, I at least wanted to be standing on my own 2 feet. I glanced at the ceiling above the last column. Gerard had hit cracks spread across the roof. The column bowed, ready to snap. I remembered the first time my mom had made me set up our camping tent by myself. The poles had been a nightmare. Getting them to hold the roof required just the right balance of tension, but making them collapse, that was easy. I've got an idea, I said, Blitzen, you're going to have to carry me a while longer, unless Sam. No, said Sam. I'm fine, Blitzen whimpered. I'm just I'm just great. I can almost see again. Okay, everybody, I said, we're going to run toward the giant. I didn't need sign language to read Harv's expression. Are you crazy? The swan gave me the same look. Just follow me. Just follow my lead. I said, it'll be fun. Please, Sam begged. Don't let those words be carved on my tombstone. I yelled at the giant. Hey, Garrod, you throw like a full banger person. What? Bah! Garrod turned to scoop up another coal. Straight at him, I told my friends, go. As the giant prepared to throw, I told Blitzen, right, go right. We all ducked behind the nearest pillar. Garage cold forward, straight through it, sweeping cinders and sending more cracks up the ceiling. Now left, I told my friends, toward him and up another row.
Oh, dude,
What are
he's gonna wreck all the pillars so the roof comes down on him.
Hey, don't be ruining it for people, man.
No, I can see his tactics here. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I know. Now left, I told my friends, toward him and up another row. What are you? Sam's eyes widened with understanding. Oh God, you really are crazy. Got a better idea? Sadly, no. We ran across Garrod's line of sight. Your daughters aren't drunk, I shouted. They're dead. What? No. Another coal cannonball hurtled toward us, hitting the nearest column with such force it collapsed into a pile of colossal stone lifesavers. The ceiling groaned. The cracks spread. We ran into the central aisle and yelled, missed again. Durant howled in fury. He tossed aside his drinking horn so he could scoop coals with both hands. Fortunately for us, his anger and his double-handed throwing made him aim terrible. We jogged across him, weaving from column to column, as he splattered coal everywhere, tipping over braziers, breaking pillars. I insulted Garage suit, his haircut, his his patent leather shoes. Finally, the giant tossed an entire brazier at us, taking out the last support pillar on his side of the room. Retreat, I told Blitzen. Go now. Poor Blitzen huffed and wheezed. We ran for the far wall as Garage shouted, cowards, I will kill you. He easily could have run after us and caught up us, but the giant's drunken mind was still thinking in terms of projectile weapons. He searched around him for more coals as the ceiling above him crumbled. Too late, he realized what was happening. He looked up and screamed as half the room collapsed on top of him, burying Garage under 1,000 tons of rock. The next thing I knew, I was on the floor in a whiteout of dust and debris, trying my best to cough up my lungs. Slowly the air cleared. A few feet away, Sam sat cross-legged, also hacking and gasping, looking like she'd been rolled in flour. Blitzen, I called. Hearth? I was so worried about them, I forgot about my broken leg. I tried to stand and was surprised to find that I could. The leg still throbbed with agony, but it held my weight. Blitzen came stumbling out of the dust cloud. Present, he squeaked. His suit was ruined. His hair and beard had gone prematurely gray with plaster. I tackled him in a hug. I said, are the strongest, most amazing dwarf ever. Okay, kid, okay. He patted my arm. Where's Hearthstone? Hearth? In moments like in moments like that, we forgot that yelling Hearthstone's name wasn't really helpful. Here, he said. Sam called, brushing some rubble off the fallen elf. I think he's okay. Thank Odin. Blitz, Blitz started tor- stare, Blitz started forward, but almost fell. Whoa there. I propped him against one of the remaining columns. Just rest for a sec. I'll be right back. I jogged over to Sam and helped her extract Hearthstone from the wreckage. His hair was smoldering, but otherwise he looked all right. We pulled him to his feet. Immediately, he started scolding me in sign language. Stupid, trying to kill us. It took me a second to realize he wasn't holding the swan. Wait, I said, where's Ganilla? Behind me, Blitzen yelled. I turned and discovered a hostage situation in progress. I'm right here, Ganilla snarled. She was back in human form, standing behind Blitzen, the point of her blade spear pressed to her throat. And the four of you are coming back to Valhalla as my prisoners. So that was, how many chapters was that? 4?
Oh shoot, that sounded like 4.
Yeah, it was pretty good though.
Yeah, it was awesome.
One more?
I don't know. It's up to the fellowship. There's a picture of Ganilla, guys.
Yeah.
She's a tough chick.
Yeah, she is.
So here's 57. Oh, strawberry 57. 57. Sam hits the eject button.
Sam hits the button.
Huh? Yeah, Sam hits the eject button.
Ooh.
So you want me to read 5 chapters tonight, then the next 5 next week, and then the next 5 next week?
Yeah, and then we'd be done with the book.
And then we'll be done with the book.
But
Yeah,
that's
then we can go on the second book.
that's up to the group. Do you guys want to go one more chapter?
Yeah, we can go one more chapter.
Yeah,
All
that's fine.
Yeah.
with me.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Ganilla, so 57. Sam hits the eject button. Ganilla jabbed her spear tip against Blitzen's jugular. No closer, she warned. Rogues and liars. Is it Rogues is rogues?
Yeah.
Rogues and liars, all of you. You endangered Midgard and Asgard. Roused the giants, caused chaos across the realms. We also rescued you from the birdcage, I added. After luring me here in the first place. Nobody lured you, I said. Nobody asked you to hunt us. Ganilla, Samara placed her axe on the floor. Let the dwarf go, please. Ugh. Blitzen agreed. The Valkyrie captain glanced at Hearthstone. You elf, don't even think about it. Put that bag of runestones on the floor or I will burn you to ashes. I hadn't realized Hearthstone was about to make a move. He complied with Ganilla's order, though his eyes blazed. He looked like he wanted to do something much worse to Ganilla, then put her in a magic hamper. He complied with Ganilla's order, though his eyes blazed. He looked like he wanted to do something much worse to Ganilla, then put her in a magic hamster wheel. Sam raised her palms. We're not going to fight you. Please release the dwarf. We all know what a Valkyrie spear can do. I didn't actually, but I tried to look as meek and harmless as possible, as exhausted as I felt. It wasn't hard. Ganilla eyed me. Where is your sword, Magnus? I gestured to the ruined end of the hall. Last I checked, he was taking a bath in a goblet. Ganilla considered that. It was a sort of statement that only made sense in the world of of the Vikings. Very well, he still listened toward me. She swept her spear forward, keeping us all within striking distance. The weapon's light was so intense I felt like back I was baking my I felt like it was baking my skin. We will return to Asgard as soon as my full strength returns, said Ganella. In the meantime, explain why you were asking the giant about Thor's weapon. Oh, I remember Thor being pretty specific about not telling anyone of his missing hammer. Well, a trick, Sam interrupted. To confuse the giants, Ganilla narrowed her eyes. A dangerous trick. If the giants believed Thor had lost his hammer, the consequences would be unthinkable. Speaking of unthinkable, I said, Seward is going to release Fenris Wolf tomorrow night. Tonight, Sam corrected. My stomach dropped. Isn't it Tuesday? Freya said the full moon was Wednesday, which technically starts at sundown on Tuesday, Sam had said. The full moon rises tonight. Well, that's just wonderful, I said. Why didn't you say so? I thought you understood. Silence, both of you, Ganilla ordered. Magnus Chase, for the you've fallen for the lies of this daughter of Loki. You mean the full moon isn't tonight? No, it's tonight. I meant Ganilla scowled. Stop confusing me.
I'm talking about the full moon.
Blitzen whimpered as she throttled him with her light spear. Hearthstone edged next to me, his fists clenched. I raised my hands. Ganilla, all I'm saying is, if you don't let us go so we can stop Seward. I warned you, Ganilla said. Listening to Samara will only hasten Ragnarok. Feel fortunate. Feel fortunate I found you rather than the other Valkyries who are hunting you or your former Enharji hallmates. They are anxious to prove their loyalty to Valhalla by killing you. I, at least, will make sure you get a proper trial before that Thanes cast your soul into Ginnungagap. Samara and I have changed glances. We didn't have time to be captured and sent back to Asgard. I definitely didn't have time to get my soul cast into a place I couldn't even pronounce, which I can hardly pronounce. Hearthstone saved us. His face became transfixed with horror. He pointed behind Ganilla as if Garod was rising from the rubble. Rising from the rubble. It was the oldest trick in the 9 worlds, and it worked. Ganilla glanced behind her. Sam lunged with blinding speed. Instead of trying to tackle the Valkyrie captain, she simply touched the golden bracer on Ganilla's arm. The air hummed as if someone had turned on an industrial vacuum cleaner. Ganilla shrieked. She stared at Sam in dismay. What have you? The Valkyrie imploded. She collapsed into a pinpoint of light and was gone.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Sam,
Sam just activate some like portal back to Valhalla.
yeah.
Oh.
Sam, she collapsed into a pinpoint of light and was gone. Sam, I couldn't believe what had happened. You killed her. Of course not. Sam swatted my arm. Thankfully, I did not implode. I just recalled her to Valhalla. The man asked. Sam smiled modestly. I didn't know if it would work. I guess my fingerprints haven't been deregistered from the Valkyrie's database yet. Hearthstone rolled his hand, explained. Valkyrie armbands have an emergency evacuation feature, Tim said. If a Valkyrie is wounded in battle and needs immediate attention, another Valkyrie can send her back to the Hall of Healing simply by touching her armband. She'll be instantly extract, extracted, it's powerful magic. One use and the armband melts. I blinked. So you know, got yanked to Valhalla? Yep, but I haven't bought as much time. She'll be back as soon as she gathers her strength. I imagine she'll bring reinforcements too. Thor's hammer, I said. In the storage room. We ran for the small iron door. I'd like to say I had carefully planned the ceiling's collapse to make sure the door didn't get buried in wreckage. In truth, I just got lucky. Sam's axe cut through the rock in one swipe. Hearthstone yanked open the door. Inside was a closet, empty except for an iron pole the size of a broom handle leaning against the corner. Well, I said, that's kind of an anticlimactic. Anticlimactic.
Yeah,
Listen.
anticlimactic. Yeah.
Blitzen studied the iron pole. I don't know, kids. See this rune work? It isn't Majolin, but this staff has forged with powerful magic. Sam's face fell. Oh, that's weapon. Just not the right weapon? Blitzen nodded sagely. I agreed. Would one of you tell me what you're talking about? Kid, this is Thor's backup weapon. Blitz explained. The staff was a gift from a friend of his. The giantess grid. Three questions, I said. First, Thor has a giantess friend. Yes, Blitz said. Not all giants are bad. Second, do all giants names begin with G? No. Last question. Thor is a martial artist. Does he have like backup nunchucks too? Hey kid, don't diss the staff. It may not be dwarven work like the hammer, but great forces forged iron is still powerful stuff. I hope we're able to pick it up and carry it back to Thor. I'm sure it's easy. I'm sure it's heavy and protected by enchantments. You needn't worry about that, yelled a voice above. From one of the high windows, the god Thunder soared into the room on a chariot pulled by Otis and Marvin. My sword Jack floated along next to them. Thor landed in front of us in all his grungy glory. Good work, mortals, he grinned. You found the staff. That's better than nothing. And dude, said Jack, I take one quick bath, I turn around and not only have you left the room, but you've collapsed the exit. What are you supposed to think? I bit my comment. Yeah, sorry, Jack. Thor reached out toward the supply closet. The iron rod flew into his hand. Thor executed a few thrusts, swipes, and batten twirls. Yes, this will do nicely until I find that other weapon, which is not officially missing. Thanks. So there's another missing weapon.
Yeah, Mjolnir, his hammer.
Thanks. I tried to resist the urge to smack him. You have a flying chariot. Of course, he laughed. Thor, without his flying chariot, would be like a dwarf without an emergency parachute. Thank you, Blitz said. You could have flown us straight here, I noted. You could have saved us a day and a half in several close calls with death. But you let us climb this cliff, navigate a chasm. I would never dis- I would never deprive you of the chance to prove your heroism. The Thunder God said. Blitzen whimpered. Hearthstone signed, I hate this guy. I hate this god. Exactly, Mr. Elf. Thor said, I gave you the opportunity to prove your your metal, your mettle,
Metal. Yeah.
metal.
Yep.
You're quite welcome. Otis pleaded and clapped his hooves. Besides, the boss couldn't show up here without his hammer, especially since his daughter was stuck in the birdcage. Sam flinched. You knew about that? They scowled at at this goat. Otis, Thor scowled at his goat. Otis, we need to have another talk about you keeping your snout shut. Sorry, Otis hung his horns. Go ahead and kill me. It's fine. Marvin nipped him. Will you shut up? Every time you get killed, I get killed. Thor rolled his eyes at the ceiling. What kind of animals would you like pulling your chariot, Thor? My dad asked me. Goats, I said. Flying consumable goats would be great. I could have chosen dragons or lions, but no. He faced Sam. To answer your question, yes.
Wow. So he knew that Ganilla was trapped there the whole time.
Yeah,
His own daughter.
right.
Wow.
Hold on, I'm typing Marie.
Oh, did she forget to get on tonight?
She said, okay, sorry I missed your reading. What did you read to chapter? And then I messaged her.
Cool. So Thor says, "To answer your question,
Yeah, to answer your question, yes. I sensed Ganilla was here. I can usually tell when one of my children is nearby. I figured if you could save her, that would be a nice bonus. But I also didn't want her learning about my missing hammer. That information is a bit sensitive. You should feel honored I told you about it, daughter of Loki. Sam inched away. You know
Oh.
about that?
he
Listen,
knows."
yeah. Sam inched away. You know about that. Listen, Lord Thor. Girl, stop calling me Lord. I'm a god of the common people, not a lord. And don't worry, I won't kill you. Not all of Loki's brood is evil, even Loki himself. He heaved a sigh. I kind of missed this. I missed the guy. I kind of missed the guy. Sam looked at him sideways. You do? Oh, sure. Thor scratched his red beard. Most of the time, I wanted to kill him. Like when he cut off all my wife's hair. He convinced me to wear a bridal gown. Do what now? I asked. But Loki made life interesting. Thor continued. People got the idea we were brothers, which isn't true. He was Odin's blood brother. Still, I understood how the rumor got started. I hate to admit it, but Loki and I made a good team. Like Marvin and me, Otis suggested. My therapist says, shut up, you dolt, said Marvin. Thor twirled his iron staff. At any rate, thanks for this. It will help me. It will help until I can find that other item. And please do not mention my loss to anyone, not even my children, especially not them. Otherwise, not, especially not them. Otherwise, I'd have to kill you, and I might even feel bad about that. But what will you do without Majol,
M-
Majoran,
Mjolnir.
Mjolnir? What? What was that?
Mjolnir.
Mjolnir?
Mjolnir. The J kind of is like a Y, so it's like Mjolnir.
Mjolnir. Sam asked, "How will you watch television?" Thor shrugged. I knew the screen size and resolution on the end of the staff was pitiful, but we'll have to make it do. Dozen resolution on the end of this staff are pitiful, but I will have to make do. As for you, the island of Lingavi rises from the waves tonight. We must hurry. Goodbye, mortals, and hold up. I said, we need the location of the island. Thor frowned. All right. I was supposed to give you that too. Would you give that to you too? Give that to you. Well, all you have to do is seek out the dwarf brothers at the Long Wharf in Boston. They will take you to the island. Their boat usually leaves at sunset. Ah, dwarves, but Blitz nodded approvingly. We can trust them then. Oh no, Thor said. They'll try to kill you at the first opportunity, but they do know the way to the island. Lord, I mean Thor, said Sam. Won't you come with us? This is an important battle. The Fire Lord, Stuart Fenris Wolf. Surely that's worthy of your attention. That's right. I twitch. Is that Thor's right? I twitched. That's a fine offer, really. I'd love to, but I have another pressing appointment. Game of Thrones. Marvin explained. Shut up. Thor raised his staff over his head. His head
For those,
over our
those who,
heads.
for those who
Use
missed
your
the last
time
few,
well.
sorry, Dennis. For those who missed the last few story fellowships, it's important to note that Thor is a huge TV junkie and would watch television shows on his hammer, Mjolnir, because it got reception with the electricity he could pump into it from lightning. So yeah, he's a big TV addict.
Right. So everybody knows what Game of Thrones is, right?
That was
Yeah.
a big
That's a big TV war and stuff. Marvin explained. Shut up. Thor raised his staff over our heads. Use your time well, heroes. Prepare for battle and be at the Long Wharf by sundown. The room started to spin. Jack the sword flew into my hand, flooding me with exhaustion. I braced myself against the nearest column. Thor, where are you sending us? The thunder god chuckled. Wherever you each need to go. Jotunheim collapsed around me like a tent falling on my head. 58. What the HEL? Question mark.
Oh no.
Oh,
Yeah, helium is basically the hell of their
Yeah.
beliefs. Wow, so they all just start phasing out. Well, that was a good reading there, Dennis. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
that's awesome. Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis,
Alright.
like always.
Done.
We'll pick up Story Fellowship next Thursday and see what
Cool.
happens. Intrepid heroes. All right.
I'll be here, John.
Yeah, I'm glad you could join, Travis. It's
Yeah,
a
you're
book.
welcome.
This is just the first book in a series, so we'll start following it. And I think we have some of the recording available on our website.
I think YouTube or Facebook.
Yeah, I think we have links to it on our webpage. that
Yeah.
go to
I don't know
YouTube,
which one, but yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, all right. Well, everyone have a great night.
You too, John.
You too,
All right.
John.
Hey, everybody.
Peace, guys.
Peace.
Thanks. Bye.
Welcome.
Bye.